Welcome to Who Yelling Now, Season 6, Episode 1, titled Who Taught Us to Live Like This? Copyright Mackenzie. My dearest listeners, welcome to Season 6. Our theme this season is, what are we becoming? In this episode, I simply wish to investigate one of humanity's greatest mysteries: normal. Every person listening to this episode knows what normal is. That's interesting, because I don't think any of us can tell each other who invented it. We know when someone is acting normally. We know when someone isn't. We know how to dress normally. We know how to grieve normally. We know how to celebrate normally. We know how to behave in an elevator, at a funeral, at a wedding, in a classroom, in a courtroom. Somehow, we all know. Who taught us? More importantly, who taught the people who taught us? Because every one of us inherited a way of living long before we were old enough to question it. Our parents handed it to us. Their parents handed it to them. Generation after generation, humanity has edited the manuscript, adding to a sentence here, crossing out a paragraph there, before passing it to the next child. But who wrote the first page? Was normal invented? Did it emerge? Was it survival? Power? Fear? Love? Or have we simply mistaken a very old habit for reality itself? Today, I don't want to ask who taught us math, language, religion, politics, or manners. I want to ask something much stranger. Who taught us to live like this? At what point did billions of human beings agree to live by rules that almost none of us remember learning? Today, I don't want to talk about good or bad, right or wrong, healthy or unhealthy. If this is air, let me breathe this poem to you. A visible scar across my face, an invisible scar across my thinking. Normal? Abnormal? I have heard the words, spoken the words, accepted the words, passed on my understanding of the words, repeating words I never truly understood. Today, I wondered who taught me what they meant. Strange, isn't it? We use the word with remarkable confidence. We recognize it instantly. Yet defining it seems far more difficult. Perhaps the easiest way to investigate an invisible idea is to watch it quietly appear in someone's ordinary life. Let me tell you about Jeremy. Jeremy grew up in a house of rules. There was a time for everything, and everything had a place. Breakfast was at breakfast time. Homework was completed before television. Shoes belonged by the door. The beds were made before anyone left the house. Nothing about the home was cruel. It was simply ordered. From the moment Jeremy learned to walk, he began running. At first, it was practical. His little legs were too short to keep pace with the adults around him, so he ran to catch up. No one slowed down for Jeremy. They simply expected him to arrive. Somewhere along the way, running stopped being a way to catch everyone else. It became the way Jeremy moved through the world. He ran to the kitchen. He ran to his room. He ran to school. He ran to the mailbox. He ran because the wind across his face made him smile in a way walking never could. He wasn't training. He wasn't competing. He wasn't trying to become anything. He simply loved to run. When he was little, adults laughed. That's just Jeremy. Children are allowed their little oddities. They'll grow out of it. But Jeremy didn't. By middle school, people had stopped laughing. By high school, people had started staring. Friends asked why he couldn't just walk like everyone else. Teachers told him to slow down. His father reminded him that people were beginning to notice. His mother was worried what the neighbors might think. Nobody could explain why running had become a problem. It simply had. Jeremy wasn't breaking laws. He wasn't hurting anyone. He wasn't even a particular gifted runner. No records would ever carry his name. He simply preferred running to walking. Yet somewhere between childhood and adulthood, that preference became abnormal. No one could point to the day. No one remembered making the decision. Yet somehow everyone seemed to know, Jeremy included. And one afternoon, standing perfectly still for perhaps the first time in his life, he wondered something no one around him seemed interested in asking. Who taught us that walking was normal? Jeremy's story isn't really about running. It's about something far more familiar. Somewhere in our own lives, each of us has inherited a definition of normal. Perhaps we've even used it without ever realizing we couldn't define it ourselves. This next poem came to me after asking whether I had done the very same thing. My superiority was embarrassed as I began normalizing the meaning of my normal expressions of normalcy. The norms of society embraced my senses. revealing my conscience that I was indeed normal enough to never admit I did not know the very word I used to exclude you. Today, we never discovered who invented normal. Perhaps there wasn't a single inventor. Perhaps there never needed to be. Maybe every generation simply inherited yesterday's answers, adding a few of their own, before quietly handing them to tomorrow. Jeremy never stopped loving to run. The world simply decided walking looked more familiar. Maybe that's what normal has always been. Not truth, not certainty, only familiarity, repeated long enough that we mistake it for the truth. Before this conversation ends, I won't ask you to reject normal. I won't ask you to embrace it either. I simply ask you to notice it. Notice the next time you use the word. Notice the next time someone uses it on you. Notice the quiet confidence with which we all seem to understand a word few of us have ever defined. Because sometimes the most powerful ideas in our lives are not the ones we believe. They're the ones we never realized we inherited. Until next time, keep asking questions worth living with.